childhood, where, one with emotional neglect and ended up, my father left when I was 1. My stepfather abused us. My mother and I ended up homeless when I was 11. And she ended up sending me off to live with my grandparents in Ohio. And so I started developing eating habits out of anger when I was really young. I was about 11 or 12 years old, and I started eating out of emotional pain. And I ate until I was about 280 pounds. Now I'm 5'6", so when you're talking 280 pounds, that's a big dude, really big. I was big enough to the point where I didn't want to get any fatter because I wouldn't have been able to get my pants at JCPenney. They didn't make any bigger pants at JCPenney. I already had to get the elastics, on the edge of it. So I was big until about 7 years ago, at age 32. I'm now almost 40. So that tells you how long I've been around. About 8 years ago, I picked up P90X. My sister's husband was dying of kidney failure. And I had a buddy that had P90X. I tried it a little bit with him. I did it for about 35 days with him. And then we completely fell off the wagon. And about 6 months later, I found out my sister's husband was going to, he needed dialysis. He was in line for a kidney transplant. So I wanted to try to see if I could test and match him. Well, when I went to test, they told me I was too fat. My cholesterol was too high. My blood pressure was too high. And I was sitting there thinking, I'm 32 years old and I'm too fat to help somebody that I love. At that point, I didn't care how bad it hurt. I just, at that time, I just picked up P90X, right? Because I knew that it would work. I had tried it for 30 days. I had failed at completing it though. So I picked it up and I did it. And I did 5 straight rounds of it and ended up being a finalist in the Beachbody Challenge. That was my introduction to Beachbody. So coming into this, I didn't come into this with, thinking that coaching was going to be something that I do for money. Does that make sense? I came into this because I picked up P90X. So how many of you started with a program and because you got results with the program, right? You fell in love with the company and you already started recommending it to other people anyway. And that was exactly why, you decided to become a coach. That's why I decided to become a coach. I really was a product of that challenge group system. But when, the first 5 months I did it though, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to be alone, doing my workouts. Okay. I finally went to the company website, teambeachbody.com, because the videos talk about that. The videos talk about go to teambeachbody.com. Right. And so I did that. I was the guy though that when Tony would talk about, getting your recovery drink, right? Tony would, in the workouts, Tony would be like, hey, get your recovery drink. And I would be like sitting there almost dying during the warm up because I was 5 minutes in and I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this? And I'm like, screw you. You just want my money. You want me to buy your shakes. You want me to buy your drinks. I'm not doing it. So I was a program only guy for the first 4 or 5 months. I didn't want to buy recovery drink. They didn't have Shakeology at the time. I didn't want to buy the vitamins that they had or anything like that. I went to the website and over time I grew into more. Over time, my faith in the company and my faith in myself that I could finally stick with something long-term started growing. And my coach, the best thing that my coach did for me was this. She loved me through my weight loss journey, right? She didn't try to push me into wanting more than what I want. She loved me where I was and allowed me to grow and always encouraged me to sort of take that next step. She encouraged me to become a coach. I remember I didn't even want to put my pictures out. And she's like, Tommy, oh my gosh, so many people would be inspired by your pictures. And so I put them out and it was unreal, the response that I got, right? The response when I put my pictures out, the response that I got from people that was encouragement, was they were inspired, was they were proud of me. And all of a sudden, all of that started filling my belief, right? And so probably the best thing she did was encourage me to take a risk, encourage me to believe in myself more than I was willing to on my own. Does that make sense? So one of the best things that you can do for your people is the same thing as you're out there helping people. When I first started as a coach, I didn't think my first 6 months in the business looked like this. My first month, I made $50. And it was from signing up my wife, right? Other than that, I made $0. I signed up my wife, I made $50. My first 6 months, I might have made a few $100s, less than $500 in 6 months. I was not lighting it on fire. I didn't come out storming out of the gate. It took time for me to grow. I really didn't even want to be a coach. At the time, I was president of an insurance agency. I was president of a Rotary Club. I was coaching high school football. I had a very active social life. I was playing, poker like 2-3 nights a week with my buddies, which also came with beer and pizza, which wasn't good. And as my lifestyle started changing, right? And you guys know, I see some of you do smile, and you're like, yeah, I get that. Me and my boys are hanging out, and beer and pizza, having guys' night, and that was me. I did that, quite a bit. When I first became a coach, so I figured this, I already had inspired some people. I had some buddies doing P90X. I figured if I could make a couple $100 a month and pay for my fitness habit, that would be perfectly cool with me, right? But I also was broke. My credit cards were always maxed out. It's crazy now when I look back at what I was willing to settle for in my life, because I was making about 60 grand a year. And for me at the time, that was a crap load of money versus my buddies who were working in the factories. My buddies were, working in factories making maybe, 45 grand a year. I was making 60, 65 a year as an insurance agent. And in my hometown, I was pretty well off. And now here I am, 7 years later, and I think, I look back and I think, and now, in our household, on a daily basis, we're talking about how can we get to 7 figures of income. And I know that's crazy to you guys, right? Because it was crazy to me at one point. It was crazy for me to think that I could be making $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 a week doing this Beachbody coaching thing, right? Because at the time it was just like this on the side thing. But I want you to write this down. If you treat this like a hobby, it pays you like a hobby. If you treat it like a business, it pays you like a business, right? For the first 2 years that I did this, it was a hobby. And after 2 years, I was making a couple $100 a week, which was great, right? 2 years. I mean, think about that. If you kind of dabbled in this and you did it and you just committed to making Success Club or helping a few people here and there, and after a year or two you were making an extra $1,000 a month, that was the first. One of the first things that I saw was the average diamond coach in the network. I remember printing off the average earnings, right? The average earnings statement. And on that average earnings statement, it said, the average diamond coach made about, I think it was at the time, like $12,000 a year. And I was like, dang, 12 grand a year. Well, here's the thing. I don't even have to be the best coach in the network. I'm at least good enough to be an average diamond coach. So all I got to do is become an average diamond coach, and I'm going to be making an extra $1,000 a month. Well, I mean, how many of you would like to give yourself that kind of a raise when it comes, right? I mean, $1,000 a month. Well, so I think sometimes we get in this comparison game where we look at some of these people that are just crushing it, right? You can look at some of the top coaches. You can look at the people that are, you can look at someone like me and say, okay, he's earned $1 million, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm not him. Well, listen, you ain't got to be. You know what I'm saying? Like you're at least good enough to be an average diamond coach. That's how I got started. Was I set a goal for myself to go out there and be, not just a diamond coach, but an average diamond coach. I thought I'm at least good enough to be that. See, at the time, I didn't have the belief that I could be a top coach. I really didn't. I didn't know that I could make Success Club. The first 2 months we had Success Club, I didn't make it. I doubted myself, right? There was a lot of times when I had doubt in myself. But then I saw these other people, and they were doing great things, and they were helping a lot of people. And I thought, you know what? They're good, but they're no better than me, right? And so that's why, like, when Lindsay introduces me and says, he was this and he was that and he was this, I want you. I mean, hey guys, I'm the guy that friggin' overslept by 5 minutes before I got on this call, right? If I can succeed, shit, what can you do, right? I'm no Superman. I make mistakes just like you guys do. I mean, I got a 22-month-old little girl. I'm a father. I'm a football coach, and all of those things. But the first thing that you have to understand is this: it does require belief. Okay, and it requires belief in several things. And I'm gonna kind of mark these things down for you. So for you to do anything in this, you have to have a certain amount of belief in different things. The first thing is this: you have to have a belief in the company. It's really hard for you to emotionally connect with other people if you don't believe that what the company offers is going to bring a value into their life, okay? Now, I have the fortunate privilege of the fact that I have spent time with the founders of this company, with Carl, I've gotten to travel to France. I've gotten to have dinners with them and breakfast with them and ride bikes with them through European countries and go to Tahiti with them. And, I've also had the privilege of being around this thing from the ground up. And here's what I would tell you is this, that one of the things that keeps me going as a coach is my belief in the people of the company, in their integrity and in their vision, right? That what, and the more that I know about this, we had a call with Darren O'Lean a couple of weeks ago, who's the guy that created Shakeology. Him and Isabel created Shakeology, right? And when Darren is not the kind of guy that's going to partner with a company that's just out to make money at the expense of people, right? Does that make sense? As far as, and so when a guy like Darren chooses to partner with a company like Beachbody, what that tells me is this: we are with an absolutely incredible company. I don't have any qualm saying that, in my personal belief, it's the best company that you could be with when it comes to health and opportunity. That our company is built with integrity, and that's one of the reasons why it's going to last long term. Right? How many of you, if you're going to put work into something, you want to know that you're doing it with a company that isn't going to be crashing a year from now, right? That isn't going to be selling out, that isn't going to be, right? Does that make sense? There's a lot of people out there that go and they build a home business, and all of a sudden, 4 years later, the company's packing up its doors. Sorry, all the work you just put in, you're not getting paid anymore. Okay? Well, I'm telling you right now, your belief in the company matters. It's easy to believe in our fitness programs, right? I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with the fact that our fitness programs work. I mean, there's millions of testimonials saying that the fitness programs work. How many of you personally, when it comes to the fitness programs, like you would throw yourself behind the fitness programs, bar none, 100%, like you know that our crap rocks, like, and people just need to try it, right? But the other thing that you need belief in and is Shakeology. Okay? I need you to understand something. 75% of our income as coaches is Shakeology. All right? And so if you're not 100% emotionally in belief with Shakeology, now, it's going to be very, very hard for you and difficult for you to make a residual income long-term with this. All right? I doubted Shakeology when it first came out. Remember, I lost 115 pounds without it. Right? So I did my transformation before Shakeology came out. All of a sudden, the company comes out with Shakeology, and I see this $120 price tag on it. And I remember looking, and at the time I was drinking like whey protein from Walmart, the X Fortress stuff or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? You dudes know what I'm talking about, right? Because you got to remember who I was. I was broke. I wasn't like, I might have got fit, but I was a broke fit guy. I looked good, but part of the reason I was lighter is because I didn't have any money in my pockets. So I'm just saying. So when I compared prices and all that stuff, I didn't understand Shakeology. And it wasn't until it was out for about 6 months. I didn't buy it the first 6 months it was out. I'll just be honest with you. I didn't. I waited. I'm a naturally, like, sometimes I'm a skeptic. I'm like, okay, I'm going to see what happens, right? And you might want to write that down. Some people are what they call Weight Watchers. They're going to wait and they're going to watch. They're not just going to jump in right away, and that's perfectly fine. Some of your best coaches and some of your best customers are going to be the people like me who didn't buy everything on the first try, right? I bought a program first, and that's fine. I had to fall in love a little bit at a time. I had to grow my belief a little bit at a time. It took me 6 months to say yes to Shakeology, okay? Now imagine if my coach would have been like, screw you, you're not getting Shakeology, and because she wasn't making immediate money, she didn't give me the time and attention that I needed. Does that make sense? She would, and all of a sudden now here we are 6 years later, and my team generates enough volume for her to make $10,000 a week. I want you to understand that. She could have squashed that whole thing. If she would have treated me like crap up here, I'd have been under somebody else's team. You guys understand that, right? So one of the important lessons in that is this: love people where they're at and let them grow into more. This is not a work with people now to get paid now. This is a work with people now to get paid later kind of business. And that you might have to invest your time in some people now and not get paid for it now. So that's the other thing that you have to have a belief in is the business opportunity. You have to have a belief that this works. And a lot of times that belief can be shaken because we feel like we're putting work in, but we're not seeing the immediate result. And we live in such an instant gratification society that, you know, where we say, okay, you go work 40 hours, we're going to pay you, you know, your $800 or whatever that is, right? That we're so used to dollars for hours, and we're so used to salaries, and we're so used to a guarantee. And the thing that is the truth is this: a guarantee is nothing but a ceiling on your potential. That's all it is. It's a ceiling on the possibility of what you're worth. And the only way that you can be worth more is this: if you take a risk on something like this that says, listen, you might not make it all right now. This is a delayed gratification business, especially if you're team building. There's two ways that we make money in this business, and I just want to simplify this for you, okay? There's retailing. That's the first way that we make money, right? The first thing that we invite people to is challenges and getting people in challenge packs. And in that first year, as you're out there talking to people, most of your money is going to be made in your retail commissions. But if you don't forget about the importance of the second way, and the second way is team building and building the biggest team of people that we can get. And there's a reason why, okay? And I know I was talking about belief, and I'm steering off track a little bit, but I think this is important. Team building pays drastically higher than retailing, okay? In the long run, okay? And you might start team building now, and you might only see $14 this week from your team bonus, right? Does that make sense? You might see zero. If you looked at my thing, it was like 0014, 0028, 00014, right? For months. And then it was like 28, you know, then 42. And then all of a sudden I hit diamond, and it went up. It was 18 and 36 and 54, right? And then all of a sudden I started seeing $100 a week. And now all of a sudden, like, even though I make several $100s a week on retail, the team building side pays 95% of my income. And here's why. We get paid to help lives, right? That's the thing. We get paid. What we get paid is in direct association with how many lives that we've been able to help, how many lives we've been able to touch, how many lives we have introduced to what we do, okay? And that's it. So here's the thing. For a long time, and I want to help you guys here with something. For a long time, I thought, I got to go help people. And I went out and I helped people, and I was helping all these people on the fitness side, right? Which is great. But here's what hit me. There was a year when I sat down and I was helping hundreds of people a year. Probably the first 2 years, I probably helped a couple hundred people, right? But I was only making a couple $100 a week, and I was like, this is crazy. What's going on? I wasn't yet building a team of coaches. Here's what hit me. I sat down and I thought, man, you know, what if I wanted to help 10,000 people? How would I do that? And no matter how hard I worked individually, no matter how much time and effort I put in individually, I alone could never help 10,000 people get started on something, take a step forward in their life, to take a step forward in their own health fitness journey. I could never do that alone. That would require me to work 24/7. And even then, even if I was great at this, I would fall short of that number of 10,000. But I could build a team of 1,000 coaches and teach them how to help 10 people a year. Okay? So there's power in exponential. There's power in numbers. It started hitting me that this business is not about one person doing everything. It's about a lot of people doing a little. That's why something like Success Club works. See, you also need a belief in Success Club, right? You need a belief in Success Club. You got to believe in the system. And you got to believe that you are good enough to at least go out there and set some minimum standards for yourself. And here's the thing. Are you good enough to set some non-negotiable minimum standards for yourself, right? Here's my minimum standards, okay? For me, is this, okay? Success Club and no less than 2 coaches a month. So to me, it's like this. We need to be setting goals on both the number of Success Club points and also the number of coaches. We need to have a focus on the team building side. Because here's the thing, is this, a team of 100 coaches can help more people than one person alone. So if you're out there trying to do everything and you feel like you're beating your head against the wall and it's sucking up all of your time and you're getting nowhere fast, then chances are that you need a stronger focus on the team side, right? That we're stronger when we have numbers behind us, because that way, when you have months when you start feeling down, you still have a team of people that are doing something. I don't have to. I don't have to completely crush it every month. Now I have months where I go out and I'm crushing it. Then I have months where I'm hitting my minimum standard. Everybody understand that? But the fact is this: you have to believe in yourself enough to know that you're good enough to hit some goals, right? You have to believe in yourself enough to know that you're good enough to go find people that will say yes for the same reasons that you did. Okay, how many of you know the reasons that you said yes? Right? If I said, hey, write that. Why did you say yes? You'd be able to say, well, I said yes because. Okay, this is why I said yes to Beachbody. Here's the other thing. Why did you say no for a while? Because here's how many of you could associate with some of the things when I started talking about my hesitation or my skepticism or my lack of belief in certain things and how it took time for me to buy in. How many of you came down that same path where you weren't automatically like gun-ho and going, hell yeah, let's go take on the world, right? How many of you were like, I don't know if it's for me. I got to wait and see, right? Maybe that seems a little bit expensive, okay? But how many of you, since you've been a coach, are freely admitting the fact that, listen, I tell people all the time, I think I don't like vanilla Shakeology. I think it sucks, right? I really do. I love the chocolate and I love the vegan. But if a bag of vanilla comes through my door, I'm probably going to kick it out to the curb. Here, get the hell out of my house. I don't like you, right? You can't be afraid to admit the reality of how you felt at one point, because that's what people associate with. When you're out there talking to people, they associate with the fact that, when I can look at them and say, listen, that's cool. I didn't want Shakeology when I first started either. So if you want to start with just a program, I'm fine with that. Does that make sense? You got to believe that if you give people what they want. So some of us are out there and we're fighting this battle and we're trying to push challenge packs on people and we're trying to push people in the coach box and push coaching on them and all that stuff. Rather than just taking the pressure off of them and saying, look, that's cool if you want to start with just a program. See, here's the thing. I'm pretty smart. I know this. If they start with just a program, as long as they're in front of those workouts that the trainers are talking about Shakeology, Uncle Carl's talking about Shakeology, there's Shakeology commercials, there's coaching commercials in those videos. My job isn't to convince them. My job is to keep them going down the path in some direction, right? So that eventually their mind might get open to the fact that Shakeology is a good thing. Eventually, maybe their mind might get open to the fact that they should be a coach. My job is just to be a friend to them in that journey. So you need a belief in the company, a belief in Shakeology, a belief in the system. Okay? All of those things are proven by the fact that the company's still here and it's grown every year. It hasn't went backwards. Okay? The company was $250 million company when I got started. Now we did over $1 billion. I think we did $1.1 billion. And every year it's grown. If you looked at the growth pattern of the company, it's bam, 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 bam. It's not an up and down company. It's not dropping off a cliff. It's not disappearing. It's steadily growing organically because it's based on solid fundamentals, okay? That's proven. You can look at the track record and you can go, okay, that's a good company. So the company's in line, right? The program's proven. Shakeology, proven. You've got to determine whether you're on board. Now, for me, and I'm going to tell you this, to be honest with you, and because there's been times I'm like, why am I still drinking the Shakeology? And then I got to recheck my belief and I got to recheck the reasons why I started drinking. Am I just drinking it because I'm a coach and I'm supposed to be drinking it? Or am I drinking it because I believe in it? Here's the best thing you can do for yourself, and I truly believe this, is this. Go pick up Darren O'Lean's Super Life book. If you're truly serious about being an advocate for nutrition and fitness and healthy living, I just read his book. In fact, I'm on page 181 right now, okay? And it prompted me to truly understand Shakeology, but also the Ultimate Reset. I'm now on day 8 of the Ultimate Reset, and I feel great, okay? But go get his book and read his book, okay? It's a little bit long of a read. There's a lot of medical and scientific stuff in there, but I will tell you this. there's no way that you could ever doubt the fact that what we offer people in the form of Shakeology is one of the most incredible nutritional products on the market that they could ever find, and that they can't find it anywhere else. They just can't. Okay. And so it's called Super Life, Denise. Super Life. Darren O'Lean, he's the guy that created Shakeology. Okay. This guy studied nutrition for 30 years and traveled the world. He's the guy that hunts down the food everywhere he goes, and you know, he goes and works with the indigenous farmers. The more that I've gotten to know Darren's story and know that he is actually the guy behind Shakeology, the more that I'm like, dude, there's no way in hell. My wife is now pregnant. There's not a day during her pregnancy that we will go without her drinking Shakeology, because we know that the two little fetuses inside of her are getting that nutrition. That's how much we believe in it, right? You know, our little girl who's 22 months old, there's no way she won't drink Shakeology. She drinks it out of her little sippy cup, right? This is water, but we'll fill this sucker about halfway up and she'll get about a quarter of a shake, right? It's more than just a shake. It's not something that you can get on the shelves. And when you understand at a deeper level, that's when you go, okay, I can understand this now. But you have to have a belief in that. You have to have a belief in that you're not just selling some powdered shake to somebody, because otherwise you're going to fail, because you're not going to be able. When you're talking to people and people are giving you objections, what they're doing two things. One, the first thing they're doing is this: they're checking your belief. And I think we need to understand this is this: when there's kind of there's a little bit of a tug of war that goes on with people. Okay, every time you have a conversation with something wins. Either your belief wins or their excuses win. Does that make sense? Okay. And so a lot of times they're checking your belief. Do you truly believe? A lot of people will say no at first just because they want to see if you're still going to be around in 6 months, if you're going to follow through with what you said, if you're going to, or are you somebody that's just going to show up and then disappear? Are you going to show up and for 3 months you're going to be beating the drum and talking about this, and then all of a sudden life's going to happen and you're going to disappear? You're going to go MIA. You're going to start putting weight on. You're going to start, pulling back from the business and going back to your old habits? Or are you really going to engage with this community and stick around and be totally invested in what you said you were going to do? There's another thing to write down is this: integrity. One of the best definitions of integrity that I ever heard, and I have to remind myself of this all the time, is this: integrity is doing what you said you were going to do long after the emotion of saying it is gone. It's really easy for us to get all in an emotional whirlwind when we're feeling great about something, but then all of a sudden when life starts happening and when we start having some doubts and when doubt and fear and insecurity start creeping in, or you get angry about something, that all of a sudden what you said was going to do is no longer there, right? So I have to remind myself of that all the time. Why did I say yes to begin with? So, right, you guys want to know that. Why did you say yes to begin with? Okay? And anytime that you're hitting that wall, you got to come back to that original reason. That original reason of what was it that made me say yes? And am I still invested in that? Is that still a plausible reason why I should stay? See, the reason that I said yes to begin with was because I never wanted to go back to being as fat and miserable as I had ever been. I didn't. And I fell in love with the community. And every time I get on a call like this and I see all of these awesome people and all these great faces, I sit here and I go, you know what? Why would I ever not want to be part of this? You know what I mean? So it's not just about the money. For me, it's about the accountability, and it's about the community, and it's about the social support. All right? And so I can't tell you why you said yes. Maybe it's for a similar reason. Maybe it's for the money. Maybe it's for your accountability. I can't tell you why. But only you know why that is. All right? But you need a belief. But here's the thing: you need a belief in yourself. That's the last thing is this. You really need a belief that you are good enough, that you are strong enough, that you are capable, that there's a reason why people should follow you and trust you, because you're not going to mislead them and lead them in a selfish way. right? And so that's one of the first things that I have to ask myself every time. Because here's the thing, if you've signed up one person, you are a leader. Somebody put their trust enough in you to say, I trust you, show me the way, right? That's what people do when they say yes. They say, I trust you, show me the way. So part of the reason that we struggle to get people, it's not because here's the thing, the company is the same, the products are the same. For the coach that's signing up the most people and the coach that's signing up nobody, it's the same. The only thing that differentiates the whole deal is you. People aren't buying the products, people are buying you. They can get the products from anybody. Okay, so you have to come up with a solid reason is this. So write this down. I want you to write down a list of this. Why should people trust you? What are those reasons why people should trust you? Okay? My biggest reason is this. Because I won't selfishly lead them. I'm not a selfish leader. I'm never going to ask them to do something just for my own selfish gain. If it's not what's best for them, I don't care if I don't make money. I would rather do what's right for them than to do what's right for me. Okay? And I believe that if you come from that place of service for people and service of others, and you truly do what's right for people, that if you just do that for enough people and the rest will happen. I truly believe that. But I'm never going to selfishly lead somebody. I'm never going to ask them to invest in something that they don't need. And because I know this, that under my guidance, if they get under my influence, that their life can change drastically. They're better off under the influence of this. I believe this. I believe that people are better off under the influence of our network. They're better off surrounded by a positive, driven, supportive, health-conscious group of people that are going to be there to not only encourage and praise, but to give them a kick in the ass when they need it, right? They're better off with us than they are with most of the rest of the world that isn't going to do those things for them or with them, right? So that when someone comes under our influence as a network, the potential of growth in their life is so great, the upside is so great, that they can't afford to say no. They just literally can't, because they can't get that at their regular job. They can't get that in their regular community. So, but when we get them in the environment of being a coach, that they have the potential to grow. So that's why they should follow me. It's not just because of me. It's because of what I can lead them to. It's because of the personal development that they will discover. It's because they can become a new person and discover things they wouldn't otherwise discover in the everyday course of their life. All right. So, so listen, I don't know what you want to do with this business. I don't know, I don't know if this is kind of a thing that you're dabbling in, okay? But I do know this. You know people that need what we have. There's people on your list that need what we have. My suggestion is this. Don't let your fear keep them from their destiny, right? Don't leave their destiny locked in your mouth because you're simply afraid to say something or you're simply afraid to put it in front of them, okay? The guy that introduced me to P90X has never been a coach. He's never made a dime. He's never done anything. He was a buddy of mine from my hometown that bought it from the infomercial that just said, hey, do you want to do some workouts with me? Right? Thank God that he said something to me, because many lives have changed, including my own, out of that. And so don't underestimate the power of what we have to offer to people. And then the last thing is this, make sure that you're around a year from now. Don't be one of those people that come in, give yourself time to grow. If you're not one of those trees that are like blooming right now, you got to stay planted. The only way you're going to grow is if you stay planted in the nourished soil, and that is right here, okay? You got to it took me 2 years to actually go, I get it, and then go bonkers with it, right? 2 years in, I was making a couple $100 a week. Now I make that like an hour. You know what I'm saying? All right? Imagine had I given up in that first year, in that first 6 months, when I only made like $50 a month for 6 months. Imagine if I had quit. Okay? So whatever you do, no matter how much success you have currently, believe that the only way that you lose is if you die or quit. Right? That's it. There's only two ways you can lose at this thing. If you die or if you quit. As long as you stay planted, as long as you stay connected, as long as you stay plugged in, you're giving yourself a chance to grow. And keep doing the personal development, because the personal development will feed you. How many of you are not doing personal development? You're not reading a book. You're not listening to audio. You're not watching videos. And it's okay. Raise your hands. It's okay if you're not. Just do it. That's what I would tell you. Just do it. You know, I was struggling with food for the last year. We moved to Florida. I started struggling with food, and I gained like 20 pounds the last 8 months. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing, right? And I picked up Darren's book, Personal Development. I knew I needed to improve in nutrition, so I picked up a book and I started reading it. And I started reading it, and I started reading it, man. And all of a sudden now, it's crazy. Like in the last 2 weeks, like I'm so much more on top of my nutritional game because I'm feeding myself this personal development from that area. All right. Does that make sense? So whatever you need to grow in, go find whatever that is, right? Whether it's leadership, people skills, maybe it's fitness and nutrition and you need to get better at that stuff, you know, which is fine. You know, start with that book. So, but make sure that you're here a year from now. I would hate for you to be like some of these people that come and I've had a lot of coaches that after 6 months, they start disappearing. And then about a year after that, they come back and they say, man, I was feeling so great when I was doing the coaching thing. And when I was plugged in, I was just feeling better about life. And because you become what you're surrounded with, you know, and if you're constantly getting positive messaging and you're constantly being around people talking about living in a positive way, you can't help but have a great day. You're going to have some bad days and that's okay. But you know, a lot of these coaches will come in and then they disappear and then they go backwards in life and they go, man, I wish I would have just stayed plugged in. And they're constantly coming back to me saying, I need to get plugged in again. I need to get plugged in again. So here's my suggestion is this: don't disappear in the first place, right? Remember why you said yes. Remember that you're good enough. Remember that you're with the best company in the world. You know, we go out there and proudly display, you know, I love Ohio State, man. I would wear Ohio State stuff anywhere, right? Because I believe they're the best. And they got a national championship to prove it, right? Well, damn it. Let me tell you something. We're partnered with the best right here. If we can go out there and friggin' throw Pittsburgh Steelers crap on our head, I said that because I'm from Ohio. I'm sorry if there's any Steelers fans, right? Then why would we ever be ashamed to proudly display what we have to offer when it comes to Beachbody? All right, that's my belief, guys. I thank you for your time. I do apologize for being late and keeping you guys waiting. I hope that it was worth the extra 7 minutes that you had to wait to get me on the line. So I'm around for Q&A. I've got some extra time if you guys have any questions.
Okay, thank you. I'm over here like, yup. Yes, yeah. That was great. I'm gonna, if you guys have any questions, hey, so I want to let you know, first of all, congrats on the twins. Welcome to Twin Life.
Yeah, you guys know all about that. So
it's been a secret for the last few weeks in our house.
Alas, a lot of the we have a handful of twin parents on this call because you know I attract the twin people, right?
You know what's crazy is this. I said to my wife, I said, she's like, oh my gosh, we're having twins. I said, isn't that great? We got a whole new network of people to work with because we're always going to have that in common, right? That's a whole world of people that have twins. You know, so yeah, it does not surprise me that you have other parents of twins that are, or twins themselves. That's great. You know?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just get your now. I'm just saying.
No problem.
Okay, so if you guys have any questions, we even have a mom of triplets on this call, by the way.
Wow. Good for you.
I think we have a mom. I don't know if she's on, but she's got 2 sets of twins, and then we do have one who has quads. So we got multiples like crazy here on this team. Do you guys have any questions? You can either unmute yourself or you can type in the chat if you have any questions for Tommy. He is here. I'm going to see if
even just to congratulate him, Ashton.
She did.
She did. She chatted it.
What's up, Tommy?
Hey, what's up, John? How you doing, man?
Not much. Doing great.
What's awesome is I see some of my favorite longtime people here. I see you. I see Ashton. I'm sure there's other people on the call too. So what's up, man?
Not much. Congrats.
Thank you.
Well, I always tell people how powerful your events are. after being up to a few years in Bellevue when you were still in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can touch on that with some of the coaches, just the power of events and running your own.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something, man. You know, I didn't understand this at first, you know, the importance of getting to events and getting other people to events. But, you know, if you read Eric Worre's GoPro book, okay, and I recommend you do if you haven't, you know, he talks about like these 7 things that you have to master. And the 7th thing is promoting events and getting people to events, right? And running events. And I got to tell you, so, you know, like for me, all of my aha moments when I was kind of struggling happened at a live event. Because when you get to a live event and it's not just what happens on stage, it's the time that you spend, what I call hallway time that you get around people. Literally all of my little light bulb moments have happened in less than 5-minute conversations with someone who had been doing better than me or knew something that I didn't know. And just that little wisdom or that little encouragement that I got from them that I would have never got had I not been at an event. That's the first thing. So for me, myself, it's been vital for me to get to events. That's why, you know, one of my non-negotiables is I'm always going to be at Summit. I'm always going to be at every Super Saturday. You know, that, you know, I'm always going to go to at least a couple Danny Johnson events every single year as well. So for me, myself, it's important. When I get to events, and I love to go to events around the country, you know, I've ran a lot of my own events in Ohio, but like I went to Chicago and I did an event with Lindsay's team, and I just spoke in DC and Miami. And for me, what it does is it gets me around other people, and it helps me realize this is bigger than me, right? That this thing that we're a part of is pretty incredible. That's why getting to something like Summit in July is so important, because you get there and you start seeing 20,000 people and you start seeing this company and you feel and experience firsthand exactly what this is. It's hard to understand that sitting in your living room when you're just there alone, just through Zoom, right? It's hard to understand the human connection. But it's like this: you can't hug an email, right? You can't hug a Facebook message. But you get in a room with real people, and all of a sudden you go, man, they're no different than me. This thing's incredible. It's bigger than me. There's a lot of people just like me. And you start hearing the stories of other people. That's the first thing. But the second thing is this: you know, the people that you take get that experience as well. All of my coaches that have done the best are people that they haven't done the best just because of me. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I've mentored them, and yes, I've helped them, but literally typically it's been something that they've gotten at a live event that helped them really get going in the right direction. It came from somebody outside of me. Write this down: the power of third party voice. Okay. It's the same reason why, you know, how many of you know that, like, you know, when mom and dad say it, it doesn't mean as much as if Uncle Johnny says it, right? Like, mom and dad could say this thing and you're like, whatever. But when the neighbor guy says it, or Uncle Johnny says it, or your high school coach says it, like, you tend to listen a little bit more, right? How many, you know, it's the same with spouses. Okay. So some of you people that have a spouse that isn't on board, right? I got to tell you, the best thing that you can do is get them around other people at live events and let the event open up their mind. Let them have their own experience. Let them go talk to some other people. I've had a lot of women whose husbands are like, they're doubters, or a lot of times though, and I'll say this, a lot of times if you've got a husband that isn't happy about your participation with what we're doing with Beachbody, chances are there's something else wrong. Like, you're putting Beachbody before him. And if you were actually not doing that, right? Does that make sense? Like, so you're basically spending all your time with Beachbody and not with him. So that's a time management thing and a priority thing. Does that make sense? But when I've had women or men that are in that situation, if they can get their spouse to an event and let them hear and see what it is, because chances are they're thinking it's something that it's not. All right. I've had a lot of guys that, the wives bring their husbands, and then he can talk to the guys in the team, like me, right? Or like Tony Bellini or whatever. Like Hal, Hal was probably like, screw this Beachbody stuff. And then he went to the Bahamas, and we're standing in the resort thing, and Hal talks to me, and all of a sudden he connects with me, and he goes, maybe this isn't such a bad thing. Everybody understand that, right? Maybe this isn't such a bad thing. Okay. so it's hard to explain that. If you plant them in the environment, they're going to grow to the size of the environment. Okay. Does that make sense? So you can only grow according to the size of the environment that you decide to plant yourself in. Okay. And live events are always the most powerful things that you can participate in, because you're in a compressed situation and you're surrounded by it completely 24/7. Does that make sense? And so what you're doing is there's no other distractions. You're there in the moment, and it's the biggest environment that you could be in. So and you're around more than just your own team. Does that make sense? So it's like you're getting outside of your own little family and getting into the extended family. But literally, the best thing you could do for your coaches is get them to events, encourage them to go to events. And let the event do the speaking to them. You don't have to convince them. Let them get to the event. Let them to hear the stories of these other coaches, not just you, that will help fill their belief and help fill their sales, right? So hosting your own, I got to tell you that when I first started, I didn't want to host my own events. I was just waiting for everyone else to do it. And then finally I said, screw it. Nobody else is going to have an event here. I better start doing that. My first event, we had 5 people in my living room, right? Eventually, we got to the point where we were having, 200 to 300. In a town of 9,000, we had 200 to 300 people showing up to our Super Saturdays, right? But once I took ownership of just, I'm going to be the guy to do it, so don't sit there and go, well, nobody else is, I'm just waiting for someone to host an event. Well, you do it. Okay, you build a local team. You get people to that event. Okay, even if but that's the thing. You might doubt yourself. Okay, I doubted myself. I didn't want to be the guy to do that, and I ended up doing it, and thankfully I did. So part of that is you just got to trust it. Until you go yourself, you're not going to completely understand why we're saying it. But when I tell you to get to an event, here's the thing: I don't get paid for anything. I'm going to tell you right now, you're an idiot if you don't go to Summit. I don't get paid to tell you guys that, right? Like, nothing you do is going to make me a dime, okay? For your own good, not for Lindsay's good, not for John's good, not for Ashton's good, right? For your own good. If you really are committed to this thing, pick up a plane ticket and get to Nashville. We've got 22,000 people that have said yes to that sucker, right? And there's a reason. Go and see it for yourself. That's what I would tell you. But events are hugely important, and not just you getting there, but you getting other people there. But that's a great question.
On that, guys, and I know Lindsay's asked before with, spousal support and stuff. The best thing about this is you realize everybody, even the all-stars that you see on the screen here, or the top leaders of companies, everybody this is based on regular people. Tommy's about the most regular guy you'll ever meet. I'll go back to it. It's
true. Yeah.
Lindsay's down to earth, normal. We're not, there's these people aren't like, movie stars that are, you can't talk to. These events are, everybody's there to help each other and talk, and that's what makes it so powerful for your spouse or your spousal supports or anything. It's realizing that, we're regular.
Like,
Hal, you're not normal.
I know.
The Bahamas.
Where's Kevin?
Was
He's here somewhere. He's listening.
I think the Bahamas was my first outside of even Super Saturday or anything.
Right.
And that was a big, and I'm really frustrated over Cancun because I know it's going to be so similar to that. And I want so many people to get off the wait list who earned this trip. And I want him there because I remember going with him, and he was like, whatever, this thing. And I was making, $300 a week?
Not even. I think yours.
I was making $250, $300 a week. I was a 1-star diamond. Mm-hmm. And I got there, and I knew 2 people, maybe 3. I knew nobody. I was scared to death going into this trip. And this one and this one, the 2 of them are telling me they're twins. And I'm like, what? And then I realized I don't know how, I mean, I think he had been on a team call.
Well, actually, you'd see Tommy with the entourage walking around that everybody wanted to hang out.
He was a top 10 coach, so he was, everybody knew who he was.
Yeah.
It was just one of those, like, oh, this is real. Like, this is really real. And then when we went to Laguna Beach for leadership, Katie and I were there. Katie's on this call. Tommy spent a lot of time with us at the bar. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember this. And
no, where was this at?
Laguna.
Okay.
Laguna Hills, whatever that.
Well, yeah, because I liked you guys. I actually liked Hal. That's why I spent a lot of time at the bar. I'm just kidding.
Me and Katie, we were like, we're just going to get a water and we're going to bed because we were so tired. And then Tommy was like right there. And I was like, okay, I have a couple questions. And he was like, okay, let me just tell you X, Y, and Z. And he helped me learn a couple things. And so that simple stuff was stuff that it was just, it may be sparking through your mind that you're like, I just need to know. And, you can always ask me, of course, but there's something cool about going to these events and having that has nothing to do with even the training we got at the events. It's just that moment at the bar that I didn't go to bed for another 3 hours that night because we got into talking.
You just get in conversations, man. Hallway time. I call it hallway time, right? It's the hallway time that you get with people. I mean, John's had it with me. Ashton's had it with me, Hal and Lindsay, and there's probably some other people too, that you can't get sitting at home. Like, even if you watch it live stream on YouTube, you don't get the same experience, Like, it's, how many of you know, like, some of the best times at a sporting event is when you're tailgating. It's not actually in the event. It's outside of the event, right? Does that make sense? Like, you go to the tailgate, and that's what you remember. You're like, oh, man, we had such a great time. You don't even remember what the score was of the game, right? I mean, that's what happens at a live event. It's like the tailgating time that you get with the other people, and you never know what conversation you're going to have. I had a guy, he was David Atkins is his name. He's now an elite coach, but 2 years ago, he ran into me in the hallway, right, at Summit, and I love David. David's a full-time police officer. His wife is a teacher. He runs into me in the hallway, and we literally had a 3-minute talk. And he's like, man, I'm stuck. I only got like 50 coaches on my team, and he was having a moment, and he wasn't sure what he should do. And I'm like, dude, you just gotta you gotta start doing your own thing and own it. Period. Like, just run your own team. Screw whatever else is going on. Go run your own team, right? Here he is now, a year and a half later, almost 2 years later, and he's at like 800, 900 coaches. He's making a couple grand a week, and it was a 3-minute conversation. He messaged me once a month. He's like, dude, that 5 minutes at Summit totally changed. All you told me was to own it and take ownership of it. And so I did that, and it changed my life. But you can't get that if you're not there. And your people can't get that if they're not there. Does that make sense? So the first thing is you go. The second thing is get as many people to go as you can. Even if it's just like, hey, man, I'm going to go to this thing, and I don't want to go alone. I don't want to be hanging out alone. Why don't you go with me and hang out with me and room with me and do all that stuff, right? Go pack a room full of people, and get them in the environment, and let the environment feed them, let the environment nourish them, let the environment grow them. Where do I meet people? Well, I do two things, face-to-face and social media, So for me, for me, I meet a lot of people face-to-face, and I use Form, and then I always connect them to my Facebook. Does that make sense? So Facebook's like my hub. That's like my storefront. But when I meet somebody face-to-face, I don't talk about Beachbody with them face-to-face. I really don't. I'm not trying to sell Beachbody. I always live by this rule. I never sell on the first conversation. And the only thing that I'm selling them is a friendship with me and trust with me, right? The only thing I'm selling them is a spot on my Facebook page as one of my Facebook friends. That's it. Like at the end of the conversation, that's all I want. I'm not trying to get a challenge pack out of it. I'm trying to get another friend on my Facebook, okay? So the other day I was at the car wash, and there was this guy, Julio was his name, right? And I started talking to Julio. They're washing my car, and I'm talking to this other guy. He's getting his car washed, and we start talking. And we probably spent 15 minutes because it took him 15 minutes to do the cars. So, I asked him questions. We shared a little bit. Never brought up Beachbody. Never told him I was the poster boy for P90X or I made it, if I sat there and was like, yeah, I've made $1 million as a Beachbody coach, and I'm in my silver underwear on the join button. You want to do the challenge pack? He'd think I'm the biggest douche in the world. There's no way he would sign up, right? You know what I mean? That's just the truth, right? So I don't do that. You know what I mean? Like I don't beach body vomit all over people. What I do is I make a friend, I build trust, and I get them on my phone, and I say, hey, are you on Facebook? Why don't I just add you on Facebook? And then I add them on Facebook. And then Facebook becomes where I talk about everything. I talk about the things that are important to me: my family, my faith, football. Call it the 4 F's: family, faith, football, and fitness, right? And that's what I talk about. And food, that's the 5 F's. I talk about food because I'm a food addict, and so I like to talk about food addiction and obesity and stuff like that. So, you know, I find them both places. You know, I'm a local guy. Listen, I'm a very social person, so it's natural for me to want to connect with local people. Okay. And so that's really how I functioned this whole time. Even to this day, you know, 8 out of 10 people that I sign up are people that originated from my hometown. So I have that local connection to them. But I found them on Facebook, right? Maybe they don't live in the town anymore. They live in Columbus, or they live in Colorado, or they live in Texas, but they came from my hometown. So for me, that's what's worked. I think what's important for you is this, that you figure out who you're going to be adding and working with, what your niche market is, what your target is. A lot of, you know, there's so much talk about social media nowadays that we forget that face-to-face is probably the most powerful way that we can connect with people. You know, just like getting to a live event. I mean, imagine if you could connect live with all your coaches because they were all local. You know, there's power to building a local team. In fact, 20%. Jessica, I live in Fort Lauderdale now, yes, but we just moved here 9 months ago. I live just outside of Fort Lauderdale, but I come from Bellevue, Ohio, North Central Ohio, Sandusky, Ohio, home of Tommy Boy and Cedar Point, you know, Sandusky, Ohio, right? And so, you know, so literally though, like, you know, 50% of my team is within a 2-hour drive of my hometown in Ohio. And that was because I did a lot of face-to-face connecting and building locally and driving people to local events, right? You know, so now that I'm in Florida and I'm trying to build roots here, you know, but as I'm out, I'm starting to connect with people locally, you know, here in the Fort Lauderdale area, and I'll just do the same thing here. So, but when I meet them locally face to face, my goal is to get them on Facebook, and then I use Facebook as that sort of hub of gathering people. And I always look. One of the best friends I have is the friend adder on Facebook. You know, every day I just try. You know, I scroll through that thing and I try to click, you know, add 3, 4, 5 people to my friend adder. You know, I got to go delete people because they cap you off at 5,000. So I go delete some old people and add some new people. But great question. Anything else? I'm looking. Florida.
Any other questions? What do you think of new on demand?
I love it. I love it. I'm a huge proponent of it. I know that for some people, you know, you might sit there and go, how is that going to work? How are we going to make money and blah, 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 right? And, you know, what happened to DVDs? Well, listen, that's what everybody said when Netflix came out, and now Blockbuster's out of business. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, let's think about this. Netflix, you know, like literally Netflix put Blockbuster out of business because it was a different way of doing business, right? So anytime there's change, there's a little bit of like, it's scary because we're so used to flipping through our DVD packs. I love it, man, because honestly, like, you know, I've been using it all month. You know, I'm now working out in a different room. I have more space because I don't need my DVD player. I can just do it on my laptop, you know, and I'm loving it. I think it's great. And here's why. When someone buys DVDs, I think it's great for 2 reasons. One, just as a fan, I'm excited. As a Beachbody fan, like, I'm excited because now I can work out anywhere. In fact, I was at the workouts with the football team, and I have my little smartphone. And I said to my buddy Daryl, I'm like, dude, we can do Body Beast here now. I can stream it on my phone. He's like, what? You know, because I've been doing it on the DVDs with him. And so yeah, let's just do it here at the school, you know? So as a consumer and as a customer, I'm really excited. But as a coach, I'm super excited because it gives us another residual besides Shakeology that it gives us a way to earn residual income off the fitness side and not just the Shakeology side, right? So before, when people bought DVDs, you only got paid one time. Now, you know, they have a reason to stay on that club membership, and a club membership is a subscription, which is residual, right? So imagine what that does. Imagine if everyone on your team, every customer and every coach has a reason to stay on the club. Because before, I'll be honest with you, there was no reason to stay on the club membership. Unless you wanted free customers. That was the only people who stayed on a club membership were coaches who wanted leads, right? Now there's a reason for everybody to stay on it. There's value to it, which is good for you. It's good for me. Imagine, you get 10 people on the club membership, and all of a sudden now you're making an extra $200 a month, a quarter. That's $800 a year, right? Imagine if you got 100 people on it, imagine if you had 100 coaches and they all got 100 people on it. You see what I'm saying? So for me, I'm really excited because I'm sitting there thinking, man, this is really going to help us explode the volume and get more residual income for all of you guys. So now every time you sell a pack, you're not just getting paid residually on Shakeology, you're getting paid residually on the fitness programs every quarter. How many of you want to do that, right? So I love it. I'm excited about it. The company would not make a shift. This company's not stupid. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not saying they're perfect, and they've made some moves in the past that didn't work out the way that they thought they would, but this is not one of them. This is a move that is going to be amazing for us, and we'll see it over the next 2 years. 2 years from now, we're all going to look back and go, oh, my God, that was the best thing ever. I'm so glad they did it, So. And
it's brought value to the challenge pack now that it's way more than what we're paying for them.
Yeah. I think it's great. I know I've had just this month, I've probably had like 15 to 20 customers upgrade to a club membership.
Yeah.
So think about that. If I had 15 of them and I made an extra, whatever the percentage is, $17 times 15. I don't know how much that is, but it's a few $100s in the last 3 weeks. And that's going to be every quarter because those people, they're going to stay on it, right? They're going to stay on it. Think about Netflix, man. Every month people are paying like $8.95 or whatever for Netflix or Hulu or whatever, right? And they're just and every month they pay. It's no different than that. People have a subscription that they pay $40 a quarter for, and you get 40% of that.
Cool.
So yeah, good.
All right. Any other questions? I just wanted to add to the leads, just to repeat that. I think starting April 1st, you guys have to get Success Club to get your lead now. So make sure you make that a non-negotiable so you still get those free customers. And it's actually going to make them increase for you because people who weren't making an effort in their business, who weren't working their business, who are just sitting at an emerald rank, they won't benefit and you will get more. So it'll increase your leads. And then I believe at Success Club 10, you'll get the Shakeology leads. So, and now that that's on an infomercial with a refresh, it's going to grow bigger. We're going to have more people who are going to be exposed to Shakeology. And the book, I don't know, I haven't read Super Life yet. I earned it in the
yeah.
So I'm just waiting for it to come in. But does he talk about Shakeology in it?
Briefly, 2 pages.
Okay.
But it makes so much sense now because what you do is you start seeing the fact that this is just my thing. Okay, I was a Cliff Notes guy. Like when I went to college, and I just give me the Cliff Notes, give me what I need to know, right? Darren has spent his whole life invested into learning this stuff, right? His whole life. Like since he was 13 years old, has been nothing but studying nutrition in the human body, okay? And it's like, okay, either I can try to figure all that out or I can just trust this guy who has no reason to lie to us, right? And he's obviously living it. So when I read this book, it's like this book is like his 30 years of wisdom in a book. So that's like the Cliff Notes to all the work and effort that he's put in. And it's like, and then it makes sense. It, like all of a sudden, like Shakeology makes sense now. All of a sudden, the reset makes sense now, right? And you start seeing it from. For me, it's been great. For someone who has struggled with food, okay, and I have, and getting control of my eating, what it's done is it's shifted. I no longer see eating healthy as sort of this like I'm giving something up. It's like I want to, It's like I'm coming from a different angle now. Like when I eat that freaking salad, I'm like so grateful that the salad is there. Where before I'm like, I'd rather have a burger, You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I could just tell you, like for me, it's really, really helped clear out some of the twistedness I had on food, my food habits, and the way that I thought about food, and that I'm thinking about food, right? And the way that I thought about my body, okay? And so I just recommend it. If you're a coach, I really think that, you know, it's a book that I would have anyone who says, you know, who's going to be a coach probably should read it, because it helps make sense of everything that we do on the nutritional side. So,
which is a big deal.
And it's a big deal. And it's really helped me get some things straight myself that I've been struggling with, you know? So, which is good.
Awesome to hear. I'm excited for you.
Good.
Okay, I don't think we have any other questions unless I'm missing. It looks like we're good. And we've gone over some time, so I don't want to keep you. I know it's late on the East Coast. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great night, guys. And you can go follow Tommy if you're not friends with him. I know I'm not.
Alice.
I am. She tells you all the time that, though, Tommy.
I got Hal as a friend and not Lindsay. That's great. All right, guys. I love you. I'll talk to you later.
Love you, man. Thanks.
Bye. Have a good night, guys.